wait on their affirmation. You can't wait on their approval. You can't wait on their support. Sometimes you just gotta run and look behind you and say, everybody who wants to run, run, but I can't stop running because you're not running with me. Listen to me, hear me. You can't stop chasing your dream just because somebody in your life won't chase it with you. You can't stop believing in yourself just because somebody in your life won't believe in you. You can't stop chasing the dreams of your life just because when you do it, you're gonna have to do it all by yourself.
Hey everyone, Ryan Young, Kama Jiu-Jitsu. Today I want to cover, I've done you're a blue belt, now what? You're a purple belt, now what? I'll have Professor Dave do the I'm a brown belt, now what video. The one that I wanted to cover had to do with me earning a black belt. In fact, shortly after I earned my black belt, and a good friend of mine also earned his black belt around the time that I did. His name is Donnell Ober. He became a friend of mine after I was training over at Kenny Gabrielson's combative fighting systems for a period of time, and John and I became friends over the years and kind of touched base. And then he got his black belt around the time I did, and he asked me, he says, hey, I've got to put together this article, and the article has to do with being a black belt. What things have I learned since I became a black belt? And I had a lot. Now, one of the things that I learned being a black belt was there's no more pressure, right? There never really is pressure to begin with, but we put pressure on ourselves through all the junior belts, junior to black belt, through all the junior belts because we have that goal. We all want to get to the black belt. That's the ultimate goal. But what I found is once I became a black belt, I realized that the journey is just getting started. It really is just getting started. And that's one of the things that I had mentioned in that list that I had put together for John for that article that he was writing. Really, the amount that I've learned from 2012 when I got my black belt to 2018 when I'm doing this video is much more than I got from when I started in 89 to 2012. So 89, so 99, so 23 years of going from white to black, and then 6 years of being black to black. I mean, I've learned more in that 6 years than I did in the 23 years prior. How is that, right? Because you're learning all the techniques, and I'm learning a bunch of stuff getting up to that point. But what you don't realize is that there's so much more to learn once you get the black belt. Once you get the black belt, it's not over. The best thing about being a black belt is that once you get there, you don't care anymore. There's no more reaching for a belt anymore, because the subsequent degrees that you get, for some is based on time, for some is just based on whatever criteria your master or grandmaster has for you. It's largely earned by time, really. Your grandmaster may have criteria set for you, but the biggest component is time. For instance, he's not going to test you. If he does test, he's not going to test you for your stripe, for your degrees, until the time has elapsed. I know Grandmaster Hickson got one of his degrees after his first fight with Zulu, because that's what Elio did. And Elio is on record saying, what's this time stuff? He goes, I don't care about time. I give you a degree when I feel like giving you a degree. Which makes sense. When you think about it, it really shouldn't be on time, because for some people, what they achieve in a certain amount of time is vastly different than somebody else who achieves something in a certain amount of time. They may achieve the same thing, but one might have done it in 1 year, one might have done it in 10 years. So does that mean that the one who achieved that goal in 1 year should be ranked the same as the one who took 10 years to do the same thing? It's not my call. So, but it's just a question I'm gonna throw out to you there. I've got friends, I had a lot of friends that recently just got promoted. Some got promoted to black belt, and some got degrees added to their black belts. And they've gone further into black belt. And I know to every single one, that they feel the same way that I do. One of them gave me the analogy that you get to the mountaintop and you get your black belt. But as soon as you get your black belt, you continue on and you realize there's another valley again. So this valley kind of represents you realizing that there's a lot of stuff that you don't know. So it's like, okay, I've realized it. Now I need to learn this new topic and get up and conquer that mountain. Then you get your degree. And then after your first degree, you realize, oh crap, there's more. Okay, I still don't know everything. And then you go and you learn that. I look at it, and that's a great analogy, and I mentioned that to him. I look at it in a slightly different way, in that I climb up the mountain and I get to the top of the mountain, black belt, and then clouds clear. Only for me to then realize the mountain continues up. It's higher. So I continue to climb that mountain. And I get to the top of the mountain. And I breathe a sigh of relief. And then I realize the clouds clear and it continues on. What I've found personally is that I enjoy the journey. I love climbing that mountain. To me, it's not work. To me, it's fun, right? I'm having more fun since I've gotten my black belt than I have at any other time prior to that training. I take it back. From the time that I've been with Professor Dave, actually a little bit before that, from about 2007, and I went to Professor Dave's around 2008, 2009. From about 2007, late 2007 is when I started to fall in love with Jiu-Jitsu all over again, and it became fun, and it's never let up since then. But I just love climbing that mountain. So climbing the mountain is a metaphor for new challenges that come up. Never in my mind would it have crossed to me, telling me that, okay, now I've achieved the black belt, now I'm gonna go do something else. In martial arts, you have a lot of what I call black belt collectors, right? They list on their web pages, I've got a black belt in this and this and this and this and this. I've seen one guy that had about 8 black belts. Assuming that I have learned way more from 2012 to 2018 than I did from 89 up to 2012, why would I stop? Why would I get the black belt and check that off my list and say, okay, I'm done, let me go do something else? If you didn't like the journey and all you were on the journey for was to get that black belt, then I understand. Because for a lot of people, they use the Jiu-Jitsu black belt as something that they can use to market. To them, it's something they're proud of. It's like, hey, look at me, I'm a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. Me, myself, I don't really identify as a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. I'm just a practitioner, just like you, right? And I know Professor Dave thinks that way, and because we're all on a journey. Some of us are a little further along than others, but the journey that you're on, if you're behind me as far as belt, I've been where you are, and you will be where I am right now. Just continue on, but you have to love it. Anything you do in life, you have to love. If you don't love it, you're not going to do it anymore. So that's why I said in past video, it really doesn't matter to me what belt I wear now. And it's easy for me to say because I am a black belt now. So it's like, oh, whatever. Now that I earned it, if I lose it, it's not a big deal. Like I said earlier in another video, if Dave were to tell me, hey, Ryan, I've changed the criteria for black belt and you no longer meet it. So give me back your black belt. Here's a white belt. Okay, right? That's fine. I'll spend whatever time I need to earn my new black belt, right? I earned my old black belt, and no matter what, you can't take it away from me. You can say, let's say, something happens between your professor and your professor tells you, oh, you're no longer my black belt. Okay, but you still gave it to me, so I am a black belt. You just don't want to call me yours anymore, so you disown me, that's fine. But I'm still a black belt, right? And that happened with the Gracie Academy and Craig Kukuk, right? Craig Kukuk moved to the East Coast, opened a studio, Gracie Academy studio, and something happened. I have no idea. I don't know the story. All I know is I remember Hoist telling me he went over, visited him, and took the black belt back. Okay, yeah, well, you take the actual black belt back, but Craig's just going to go get another one and put it on, and because he's still a black belt. He earned it, right? You can't take what he earned away from him. You cannot recognize him anymore, but you can't take it away. Being a black belt does have a lot of significance to it. For some people, they place more significance on it. For other people, it's just a belt. I can put another belt on, and it's not going to make me better or worse. It's just that. Which then goes to when you're a lower belt, you're always trying to impress your professor. You don't want to get tapped out by a blue belt if you're a brown belt. If I'm a black belt and I get tapped out, who cares? At the end of the night, guess what's going to go in my bag? My black belt. I'm still going to go home with my belt. And, that blue belt that tapped me for however way he tapped me, whatever, he's going to go home with the blue belt. Doesn't matter. Just know that earning the black belt is not the end of it. It's the beginning of a new journey. Don't look so forward to earning the black belt. Enjoy the journey you're on now. You keep looking forward, the time may never come, and then you're always gonna have a regret. Enjoy the path that you're on now. If and when you get to the black belt, you'll get there. And then you'll realize the same thing I'm saying and that other black belts all have come to realize. It's not over. There's still a lot to learn. Anyway, that's all I got in that. Take it for what it's worth. I know a lot of you are not black belts. In fact, most of you are probably not black belts. So really, in a way, it doesn't apply to you, but I'm just kind of giving you an insight to what goes on in the mind of a black belt. Hope you guys all have a great week or weekend, depending on when you're listening to this. And happy training. Bye now.